But here's the issue that I think is important for Republican voters to think about. Why did we have all those mail votes? Because of Trump turned the government over to Fauci. They embraced lockdowns. They did the CARES Act, which funded mail-in ballots across the country. Donald Trump signed that bill that funded the mail ballots that all the Republicans have been so concerned about. And also with the censorship of the Hunter Biden. That was Donald Trump's FBI that was working with that. He didn't have control over his own government. So me as the nominee, we will not let them run circles around us if there is.
Ooh. The Rubicon, I guess, has been crossed there for that. I was wondering when they were going to start duking it out over that. Welcome back to the program. Dana Lash here with you, bottom of this first hour. It's not inaccurate. This is one of the things that, I remember seeing this tucked in there at the time. And then I went back and I was looking at a lot of this. And it was actually one of the criticisms from some conservatives at the time. Is this going to get taken out? Is this going to get taken out? So it's not incorrect. And it makes me wonder who he had around him at the time that didn't say, whoa, hold up. We gotta get in here and we gotta stop this, or we have to slice and dice or something. And it's true, because he was even saying there's tons of audio when there were states that wanted to reopen. He didn't want them to reopen at the time that they were going to reopen. Look, this is an uncomfortable thing. It happened. What am I supposed to do? Ignore it for the sake of people who, look, we've got to be honest about this stuff. It doesn't mean that you're conceding defeat in 2024 to be honest about some of this stuff. But I don't know how you expect to walk into a general election and not reconcile this. For real. Y'all, we gotta be honest with each other, right? It's like you gotta be the friend that tells your friend that she looked horrible in that outfit. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be honest about it. Case in point, I'll tell you this. And this came about. I'm gonna pull this up. This came about today, and I'll come back to this. So there was a shakeup in the DeSantis campaign. Janera Peck, she wasn't fired. She was moved to a different role, from what I understand, the way that I read it. But she was replaced. She was basically booted as his campaign manager and replaced with his chief of staff, James Uthmeyer. Now, I'll tell you what I know is that I've always been critical of any campaign when they run a general style campaign in a primary. Do you know what that means? It means, because in the primary, that's when you can flex your conservative cred, right? In the primary, that's when you show how, you are a risk taker for the right things and you know how to take the risks. You know when to pull your punches and when not to. That is when you really flex your limited government, leave me alone policy, right? It's when you really do it. The general is when you finesse your messaging and you don't change your position on issues, but you message it in a way to appeal to independents and moderates. And that's kind of the difference. In your general campaign is a little more nuanced and a little bit more even keeled, if that makes sense. It's not as dramatic. It's not as hyped up. It's okay. We're going to go now. We're talking to the people. You got the people that are your base. Now you're going to go out to the people who are going to make up maybe the 10 points that you need to win a state. And I've always thought the DeSantis campaign started out strong. I actually liked the spaces thing, but I like to do new things, and I like to see people get ahead of the ball on stuff. But I also thought that I felt like they were trying to regulate him too much, and I felt they were running a general and a primary. That's not a successful thing. Can't run a general in a primary election. Now, Peck was the campaign manager of his state campaign, so she's delivered results. Now, let's not think that this girl's not talented. She's delivered some results. As his campaign manager, they were able to create a lot of momentum. He had a lot of coattails in Florida. He dragged a lot of people across that threshold. I mean, you didn't have any Democrats. You have no Democrats for the first time in, what, ages. I think it's like pre-Civil War, something like that, you don't have any Democrats in elected statewide office. I mean, they flipped Miami, Dade, and Palm Beach counties. That's huge. So she has some successes. So don't think that she's some shrinking violet. She's not. But there's a difference in running a state campaign and a national campaign. From my experience in commentary and doing grasswork stuff, because you guys know I did a lot of street activism and I did a lot of door canvassing and I did a lot like issue-based activism, and sometimes I'd go out for candidates too. I mean, literally, I would show up on somebody's front porch, which is kind of funny sometimes, or not. But one of the things that I have learned is that a lot of people that are very, very involved in state by state, when it comes to the national level, very few perform as successfully as required at that level because it is a different type of game. Now, that is not a dunk on the skills of the person. It's just different. A lot of them think, oh my gosh, it's national. I got to play it safer. Yes and no. Because in a primary, that's when you don't play it safe. The primary is when you take the risks. The primary is when you're like, you know what? Look, this is how limited government I am, damn it. Leave me alone. Now, something like that in a general, maybe it wouldn't fly as well. So you finesse it a little bit. Yes, I like to be left alone by a big government that wants to tell me what kind of light bulb to have. I mean, do you want me telling you what kind of... See, you finesse it a little bit. A lot of people that do state stuff, they get a little too safe in a primary and a national. So you don't want to run a general in a primary. And I felt like that's what was happening. And I felt like some of the strengths had been muted. Some of the campaign strengths had been muted in the last couple of months. So I think this is a good move. She's not leaving the campaign. She's just in a different role. And I think this is a good move. Now, I don't know about this guy. I don't know if he's got campaign experience, admittedly. So I don't know what to expect from him. But I know that he's got some really good people around him. And I know that some of the donors, DeSantis donors, were wanting him to be a little bit more aggressive, whereas I think the campaign was saying, let's play it a little safer. So that looks like the brass knuckles are coming out. And it's not, and he's not trying to be anything. That's just what he is. He's a polite bull in a china shop. He's very polite. After he breaks a dish, he'll say, excuse me, I'm so sorry about that. So it'll be interesting to see what effect this has on the campaign. So my point in bringing this up is that you got to be honest about a campaign's deficiencies and strengths. And one of the things that Trump, and this is not a declaration on whether you like him or love him. There's too much video of him with his own mouth saying stuff about how states shouldn't reopen too early. They need to stay shut down. Talking about mail-in ballots when this was actually funded. I mean, and that is a true thing. You can't deny when you signed a bill that's funding mail-in ballots, you can't deny it. So this is one of the things that you have to reconcile.